the way out of this. Musa didn't say, Inna ma'ana Rabbana sayahdina. With us is our sustainer. He's going to show us the way out of this. This is a very fine point and distinction between those who are in formality following prophets, just like Bani Israel at this time on that occasion. Formally, what are you going to say? They were praying, they were fasting, they were doing all of the ritualistic requirements that Allah wants them to do. But when the time of proof pertaining to their conviction and pertaining to their commitment, when the time of truth came, they expressed who they really were. Hey, look, we're going to be killed. What are we going to do? So Musa, in these eternal words of the Quran, described with accuracy, Inna ma'iya Rabbi sayahdeen. Indeed, my Lord is with me. He is going to guide me. And you know what happened after that? The physical law changed. The sea now was parted. It was no longer the Red Sea that they would drown in. There was a way for them out. The physical law changed. And then the army right now in pursuit of these weaklings, who were Bani Israel, no arms, nothing. They crossed, they made it, they made the journey across that distance, and the social law, the type of materialistic social laws that were at work then and are at work now. These people who thought, the superpower of the time, they thought that they were on top of the world. No one can defeat them. What happened? They also went into this path that was once the Red Sea. And when the followers of Musa, when Bani Israel crossed over to the other bank of the river, then Pharaoh and his troops, his armed forces, they were gone, finished. They drowned. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, pertaining to the corpse, the dead body of the Pharaoh, that he will keep it in preservation. لِنَجْعَلَكَ آيَةً. Out of you, the Pharaoh, you are going to become a demonstration of an illustration of our power in human life. And lo and behold, just in the last century, some scientists studying some of these mummies in Egypt came across a mummy whose cells were still alive. Alive in a biological sense, not in the person obviously was not alive. But it has become a mystery to those who think with a materialistic mind. يا أيها الذين آمنوا كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expects from us, to reach that summit of taqwa where we are certain of His power presence. We don't doubt it. Doubt erodes your conviction, your iman. Once you begin to doubt that you are with Allah and Allah is with you, then you make inroads for the troublemakers in your society, in your country, in your affiliation, whatever that may be. On a lighter note, the Prophet, there are some hadiths from Allah's Prophet that give us some information pertaining to this critical month of Ramadan. He speaks to our youth. يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج ومن لم يستطع فعليه بالصوم فإنه له وجاء. This hadith is addressed to our younger generation, our youth, those who are in their prime, where there are hormonal fluctuations, whether they are our sons or our daughters, and they want to get married. And Allah's Prophet encourages marriage. يا معشر الشباب من استطاع منكم الباءة فليتزوج. Because you know, when you're married, you no longer have stray eyes, and you no longer are fixated on your sexual desire. فإنه أغض للبصر وأحصن للفرج. وَمَنْ لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ. What if we have, this is true, you know this in our societies. We have some of our youth, young ladies, young men, who cannot get married for different reasons, either financial or social or cultural, or there are different reasons here. So the Prophet says, in this case, these who cannot get married should fast. Because fast sort of breaks the lust in man. Now, Allah's Prophet is speaking to normal human beings, obviously. The state of nature that you and I are supposed to be in. We are not eating too much and we are not starving. That's our normal status. But what happens, like in today's world, Ramadan comes to remedy this discrepancy in human society, where there are those who are super rich, filthy rich. They stuff themselves with food. And on the other side, there are those who are dirt poor. They can't find enough food to put in their stomach just to relieve themselves from the pangs of hunger. Are we really, ask yourself, you have now about 30 approaching days in Ramadan. Ask yourself, have we equalized, just among ourselves, have we equalized this state of affairs? We brought down some of those who eat like gluttons, and we brought up those of us who can't find any food to eat. It's a shame to speak about 1.9 billion or so Muslims in the world, when there are the 1%. You speak about the 1% in this society. Don't worry, it's all over the world. The 1% who have everything and more than they know what to do with. Whether it's food, whether it's wealth, whether it's possessions of any kind. They don't know what to do with it. And then you have the other 99% who they virtually have nothing. And then we are supposed to be here observing our fast during this month. If we were observing our fast to factor in Allah's power presence, Ramadan would be a declaration of war against hunger and starvation and poverty. A declaration of war. Do you get that sense? You go to masajid, you listen to lectures and spokespersons in the name of Islam, etc. Do you get the sense when the month of Ramadan begins, this is a month of warfare against hunger and malnutrition and starvation and depravity? Do you get that feeling? And if you don't, ask yourself, why? Why is it that I'm right now approaching the month of Ramadan? I'm beginning to fast the month of Ramadan, and we don't have an impact on the world. We're about 2 billion people in the world. The world's population is a little over 7 billion. 2 out of 7, if we were to reduce the math to simplistic terms. You don't think 2 people out of 7 people can make a difference? If we wanted to make a difference, especially when we know on our side are the rest of the 6.9 or 4.9 billion people in the world who are oppressed and in dire need. We have tremendous support if only we knew who we are. But we don't. People want you, okay, we come to the month of Ramadan. This is what you hear. You can tune in to the talk shows, to the khutbahs in the masajid, to anything you want. Tune into them. And well over 90% of them, they're going to speak about such issues as, if a woman is pregnant, or if she is breastfeeding, does she have to make up for her fast by feeding? See, this is part of the war on need. By feeding a miskeen, a person in need. For each day she feeds one person who is in need. Or does she make up for it fasting during the course of the following 11 months before the next Ramadan? Both of these opinions, if you have some knowledge of the fiqhi issues, both of these opinions are there. I'm not here, and I've never been in a position to say one opinion is more valid than the other opinion. That's what they want us to do. In today's sectarian charged world, they want a Muslim to come and believe his opinion is superior and the other Muslim's opinion is inferior. That is wrong. These opinions among Muslims, I hope we can grow up and mature to understand these opinions are, this is the critical word, equally valid. Can we just mature enough to self-recognize the other on an equal par with ourselves? There's no